Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening around the world. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Blackjack. Today, as always, I'll be doing a YouTube deck tech from the comment section for you guys. If you're interested in having me put a deck together for you or help you tweak a list you're trying to work on, I'm looking for any of the 5 metrics in the comment section. A bracket, a budget, a theme, a commander, and any pet cards you might have. I'll also leave a link to my Discord down below. It's a great place to drop a deck list off to have me work on it. Today, we have a request from the user freezerburn, fitting name, looking for a Avatar Roku bracket 2 themed around gold and saving mana, budget under 500, gotta have Kratos in there somewhere, not a problem. This is Avatar Roku, 3 colorless and 3 red. It's a mono red deck. Whenever a player attacks, add 6 red. Until end of combat, you don't lose this mana as steps end. Pay 3 red, target creature gets +3/+0 till end of turn. So, I think what a lot of people don't understand with this commander is that it's a control deck. Being able to add 6 mana anytime anyone at the table attacks is extremely powerful, and the ability to utilize that mana on other people's turns is extremely important. I think there's a lot of different ways to build Avatar Roku. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make with a deck like Avatar Roku, in my opinion, is playing cards that double damage. So all the enchantments, the fiery emancipations of the world, all of the 5 to 7 mana cards that double or triple all of the damage that's going to happen to everyone is not the direction we're going to go here. I think those cards are very polarizing on how they make the table feel. And the moment that one of those cards touches the field, everyone at the table wants you dead. It happens almost every single time I see a card like that played, whether it's my personal friend group or when I jump in with other people I don't know very well. It's just commonplace. People don't like to have damage dealt to them doubled or tripled. So we're going to go more the route of goading and controlling the field and creatures on the field, and hopefully be a little bit more innocuous and not so polarizing and, pissing our opponents off. So 19 creatures. We do have creatures that cycle around the field. Your creatures like Alexios, and you also have Karn the Betrayer. You also have Slicer, Hired Muscle. So these are fantastic cards at getting the party started. And most people don't like them, but they're not so detrimental that people target you and want you out of the game, but they will speed the game up, and they are part of your game plan, which is, at the end of the day, you do need everyone to essentially take each other out of the game. So you can obviously deal tons of damage, you can end the game yourself, but ideally the goading mechanic is what's going to carry us through the day. Things like Ashling are also here to make sure that we don't lose mana as steps and phases end, so that way our red mana can carry through 2-second main phase, and then we can cast non-instant things, whether we want to get an enchantment down or we want to cast a sorcery, we want to put in another creature. So all the ways that you asked for, things like Ashling, Electro, Leyline Tyrant, there's a lot of ways to carry mana through to main phase 2 so you can continue to utilize it. And then you'll notice with a lot of the other creatures here, you're basically looking at like 4 main things. We want our creatures to goad, we want our creatures to cycle around the battlefield, we want our creatures to generate mana and make sure that it doesn't go away in combat, it lasts through phases, and then we want card advantage. So all of these are going to fit into that category. So you have cycling around the table, mana that lasts, goading, card advantage, goading, mana that lasts, goading, 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 and card advantage. Cycle around the table. Kratos is kind of goading with more words. Plus, it's a sweet card. Mana that lasts. Uh, this will generate a bunch of mana. Naheb. Cycle around the table. Generate mana. This is an outlet for all of your excess mana. Soul of New Phyrexia is an insanely powerful card. Being able to dump 5 mana to make your permanents indestructible till end of turn is really, really good. You're going to have access to hopefully 6 mana more often than not on everybody's turn, but if not and you have mana laying around, this is a good way to spend it. Zuko is card advantage, and then other Zuko, um, he gets experience counters, and then whenever he also firebends, so both of the Zukos firebend, which is exactly what Roku does, and it's all going to lead to you gaining excess of red mana. One thing I will say is a lot of the Avatar Roku lists I've looked at are really built around Avatar Roku. And obviously, it's a really strong card and it's a card you want to build around, but it is 6 mana and it is gonna get targeted and it is gonna get removed from the field of play. And then you're going to have to spend 8 mana to get it back out. So we do want to build in such a way that we can take advantage of Avatar Roku when it is around, but we also want to make sure our deck can operate without him, because we do have to get to turn 6 to cast him, or turn 5 if you have a ramp piece. And then we also have to be able to protect him and untap with him. He is going to be a target of everybody as soon as he hits the table. So it's important that our deck can operate without him being there. Sorceries. So again, we are saying that this is a control deck. Things like Blasphemous Act and Chandra's Ignition are good ways to keep everybody else in check. Crackle with Power and Jaya's Immolating Inferno are both win cons for you. If people are refusing to hurt each other or they don't have a lot of creatures around, you can still generate a ton of mana and take people out of the game with stuff like this. Shatter Skull Smashing is one of your MDFCs. It can deal damage early or late, or it can come down early as a land. Disrupt Decorum is probably the best goat card in the game right now. And then instants, so things like Bolt Bend, we have, let's see here, Redirect Lightning, Reiterate, which has buyback, which is really good for you. Return the Favor, Reverberate, Tibalt's Trickery. All of these are to protect your creatures, your Avatar Roku, or to counter a spell, essentially. If someone goes to destroy one of your creatures with a Swords to Plowshares, yeah, that doesn't destroy it, exiles, but you can redirect lightning that, you can reverberate that. You can also Tibalt's Trickery, so there's a lot of sneaky ways for you to actually control the things that people are casting and the things that people are trying to do to affect you. That being said, you're a control deck in the way of you don't really care what other people are doing as long as they're attacking each other, but there are cards here to make sure that your game plan isn't messed with too much, and you can ideally stop somebody from ending the game or copy the spell that's going to help them win the game. Comet Storm is another way to take people out of the game. Delayed Fire Blast is a good control piece that can wipe the board. Commune with Lava is a great way to use excess mana to get Impulse Draw. Electro Dominance can deal a bunch of damage. And then you have Electric Revelation and Laughing Mad are great ways to utilize excess mana and discarding cards you don't need to draw more cards. Plus they have flashbacks so you can use them again. We're not using Unexpected Windfall and Big Score because I want these pieces to have flashback and get a second use out of them. Yes, those cards can make some treasures, but I think we're going to have enough mana to work with as is. Fire Magic to control the board. We talked about the rest of this stuff. Valakut Awakening, again, early as a land, late as new card draw, your second MDFC, and then the last Agni Kai is a good way to continue that red mana to second main phase. Artifacts, we do have 10 pieces of ramp. We're trying to stay consistent. Your commander's 6 mana. We can't really screw around and skimp on ramp. We have to make sure that we can cast these spells. So Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Ebony Fly, Everflowing Chalice, Felwar Stone, Fire Diamond, Mind Stone, Ruby Medallion, Soul Rain, and Thought Vessel, 10 up, 10 down. Stay consistent. We also have Endless Atlas for some consistent card draw. Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots to protect your Roku and your other big important pieces when they come down. Staff of Domination. So this is a very powerful card in this deck. It is a way to essentially control everything going on. If your avatar Roku is sitting around on the battlefield and people are attacking, you're creating 6 mana every turn that you can utilize, and this is the perfect outlet for that. You can draw a card and untap it every single turn that someone attacks. You can untap creatures, you can tap creatures down, you can gain life. It's very multifaceted in what it does and allows you the opportunity to make a lot of decisions, which in mono red doesn't really happen that often. Finally, enchantments, we have Braid of Fire, obviously good at making mana. Fall of Care Andros. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, amass Orcs X, and you can pay 8 to deal 7 damage to a creature. So, Avatar Roku generates 6 whenever a player attacks. You only need 2 extra to be able to deal 7 damage to a creature, and then also amass Orcs, and again, further allow you to control the battlefield. Grand Melee is going to force combat, exactly what you want to do. Pyrohemia is a great way of controlling things. Spiteful Banditry can wipe the battlefield early and make some mana for us. Fated Firepower is, ideally you're coming in with this as X equals 3 at its baseline, but obviously it can be a lot more than that. And then if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage plus the amount of counters on this. So if this comes in with 3 counters, everything that you control that deals damage to an opponent or anything they control will deal X plus 3. So this is a great outlet for extra mana, and it has flash. The Akroan War is a good control piece. The Legend of Roku is good mana. Well, it generates a little bit of mana, it generates a little bit of card advantage, and then when it flips, obviously it has crazy firebending and the ability to make dragons. The Sound of Drums, a great goad piece. It's one that we're playing for a couple of reasons. One, you can get it back, which is really important. People try to get rid of gold cards fairly quickly, so the fact that you can buy it back is awesome. And two, it also doubles damage when that creature, deals damage. Finally, you have War Cadence. I think quietly going to be one of the best cards in this deck. X in red, this turn creatures can't block unless their controller pays X for each blocking creature they control. Let's imagine a world where you have Avatar Roku out, you pass the turn, War Cadence is on the battlefield. The first person to attack generates you 6 red mana. If you have nothing else to do with that mana, you can put it all into War Cadence and say, hey, X equals 5, so this turn creatures can't block unless their owners pay 5 mana for that creature. More often than not, that means most of these creatures are going to go unblocked, which is going to end the game quickly. People dealing damage to each other is what you want to do. It is how you are going to generate advantage and how you're going to end the game. So this is a great way of making sure that that happens. Finally, lands Arena of Glory for exerting potential. Bonder's Enclave is card draw as well as War Room. You also have Terrain Generator as an outlet for excess mana. It can put more lands into play, so can Horizon of Progress. Myriad Landscape I put in most non-green decks that are 1 or 2 colors. Fire Nation Palace to give firebending. Rogue's Passage if you do need to get through at the very end, just across the finish line with one of your creatures. It can come in or be unblockable. Temple of the False God, and then finally Valakut. It's a free roll here, and it's a sweet card, so why not play it? I think this deck turned out really cool. The big difference between this and a lot of chaotic decks that play like this is we have the ability to actually wipe the battlefield multiple times. We have the ability to kind of, at our discretion, decide whether people can attack or block, and we are generating a ton of mana. Beyond that, I think the fact that this mono red deck in particular has a lot of card advantage. Things like Clive and Grenzo, your instants that discard to draw 2, your excess mana outlets, your Endless Atlas, your Staff of Domination. It's, the biggest weakness of mono red is the card advantage and being able to stay into the game throughout the mid to late game and being able to last with these mid-range decks. These are the kind of cards that are going to allow you to do that. So I hope this helped you work through the current deck list that you're building and all the high mana stuff that you had picked out. Give it a try and let me know how it plays out. As always, Godspeed.